بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين أما بعد اللهم اغفر لنا ولشيخنا ولمشايخه ولوالدينا ولوالديهم وللحاضرين. فthe Allama Bakr Abu Zayd rahimahullah says in his book The Etiquette of Seeking Knowledge, the Mubtadi'ah only increase in numbers and emerge if knowledge becomes scarce and ignorance becomes widespread. And it is about them that Sheikh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah said, for it is this category that increases and emerges if ignorance and its people increase. And where there are no people who possess knowledge of prophethood and the following of it, who make its light apparent, the light which erases the darkness of misguidance and exposes all that which opposes it, including lies, association of false partners with Allah, and contradiction. So if you become strong in knowledge, then subdue the mubtadi' and his bid'ah with an authoritative and eloquent tongue, and peace be upon you.
نعم. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا، من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد، فالإمام بن عثيمين رحمه الله تعالى said that what the author has said is correct. So when you become stronger in ilm, then reply to the people of bid'ah. However, if you don't have of ilm that which if you don't have يعني the amount of ilm, he called it the preventive ilm, يعني the amount of ilm to prevent and shun away bid'ah, فإياك أن تجادل. Then stay away, be very careful, stay away from arguing, because once you lose, once you're defeated, then this is a defeat for the sunnah. It's a here a loss for the sunnah. ولذلك, therefore, لا نرى أنه يجوز للإنسان أن يجادل مبتدعا إلا وعنده قدرة على مجادلته. Therefore, we don't see that it is permissible for a person to argue with a mubtadi' except when he has the ability to argue with him. And the same thing with arguing with the disbelievers, or it would backfire. So the victory would be for him and what he is upon, meaning the mubtadi' or the disbeliever. ومن قوة الحجة, and from the strength of the hujjah and the evidence and so on, أن يكون معك من يساعدك ويشد عضدك كما قال الشاعر لا تخاصم بواحد أهل بيت فضعيفان يغلبان قويا. الله أكبر. هذه فائدة نفيسة يا أخوان. This is such a beneficial benefit here. Actually, I've been contemplating at this. I've been thinking about this. And alhamdulillah that we have seen that the Sheikh has mentioned this. Even in arguments or in debates or in a discussion, having people to help you is a great asset. Barakallahu fikum. And it is from the strength of the hujjah as well. And if we were to apply this to all aspects, and even in translation, even in research, even in studying, even in revising, even whenever you think about this, it actually is a lot stronger for you. And let's give an example. Let's say you memorize the surah and you want to recite the surah from memorization. You want to make tasmi'. If you're alone, you might make a mistake and not pay attention to it. Even if the mushaf is in front of you and you take a look every now and then, did I make a mistake or not? You might make a mistake and you don't pay attention to it. But if you give the book to somebody else, and if you give the Quran to someone else, and he's looking at the surah and you are reciting and he's looking at every word, once you make that one mistake with the letter, he does what? He corrects you, and it becomes a lot more efficient that way. It becomes a lot more efficient that way. So even in terms of research, in terms of studying, in terms of arguing and getting into a debate and getting into an argument, having someone with you to help you is extremely beneficial and makes your hujjah stronger. And then the Sheikh brought the poem. He said the verse of the poem, لا تخاصم بواحد أهل بيت. يعني don't make خصومة, يعني don't argue with, يعني with one person. يعني one person is arguing against a full house. يعني meaning أهل بيت, يعني the people of the house or of a house. فضعيفان يغلبان قوية. For two weak people, they will overpower, or they will win over one strong person. Allahu Akbar. لا تخاصم بواحد أهل بيت فضعيفان يغلبان قوي. Even two weak people, they will have victory against a strong person. Because what? They are more. Therefore the Sheikh says, فإذا صار معك أحد فإن حجتك سوف تقوى. So if you have somebody with you, then your hujjah will increase. Because he is يعني يقمعه, يعني he is suppressing him from the right side من الخد الأيمن وأنت تقمعه من الخد الأيسر. يعني he is from the right side, you're from the left side, he will get lost حتى يضيع. And here is an important issue, which is indulging in the honor of the ulama and making tabdi' of them and slandering them to other than that. فنقول, we say, Imam bin Uthaymeen says, إن الوقوع في عرض العلماء من وحي الشيطان. To slander the ulama, or and to speak in regards to their honor, the ulama. Before we continue what the Sheikh said, why do I say someone's honor? Because that's what is meant. يعني عرض العلماء. In the English language, this used to be something. Nowadays, subhanallah, يعني these meanings are being lost. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for safeguarding. So the honor of a person, meaning what? Meaning even just speaking about him. This is indulging in his honor. Yani if somebody comes and says, this person is a liar, look at this person, he is filthy, he is this, he is that. Subhanallah. He's doing what now? He's indulging in his honor. Even if he said he is filthy, meaning he doesn't take a shower. Subhanallah, a person told me a story like this, yani, that people were calling him behind his back, he's filthy, he doesn't take showers. Ajib, yani, why would somebody even talk about such things? But anyway, this is indulging in this person's honor. This is what is meant here. Al-Imam bin Uthaymeen says, so yani, indulging in the honor of the ulama is from the revelation of the shaitan, the wahi of the shaitan. So when a person does that, he surely is a transgressant oppressor. فَإِنْ مُعْتَدٍ ظَالِمٌ. And the ghiba, backbiting of the ulama, is not like the ghiba of the general, يعني العامة, يعني general people, laymen and so on. لأن غيبة العلماء, because the ghiba of the ulama, backbiting the ulama, there is the mafsada, there is a specific mafsada khassa, and general mafsada. Mafsada meaning what? Corruption. يعني it has a specific as well as general type of corruption. So al-mafsada al-khassa, يعني the specific mistake or the specific corruption that happens is in regards to him as a person, the alim himself. As for the general mafsada, then it is for what he has of ilm, what he carries of ilm. For people, when a person يعني سقط الإنسان من أعينهم, يعني they do not respect him anymore. In the Arabic language we say he fell in my eye, يعني he fell from my eyes, يعني he fell from my eyesight. This is how we say it in Arabic. It means nothing in English. It's as if you, in English, you say something similar. You say, we look down on him now. You understand? So, losing respect for a person. then they do not accept from him. صرفا ولا عدل. And even justice and so on, they don't accept it from him. So now the transgression is against the sharia that he is carrying, this alim is carrying. The sharia that he's carrying, the legislation that he has, the religion that he has. وَالنَّاصِحُ الْأَمِينَ, and the person who is a trustworthy advisor is the one that if he sees that which he wants to make inkar of, he calls the alim or the student of knowledge or the ammi, وَيَتَبَيَّنُ الْأَمْرَ, and he يعني clarifies the matter. يتبين الأمر, يعني asks about it, tries to clarify the matter and so on. Because what he might think is a mistake, it could be a mistake or it could be correct. And not because of the action itself. However, it is because of what surrounds the action of conditions that mandates that the scholar says something or he does something. So the thing itself might be something that is munkar in itself. However, some people do it because of a greater benefit. So the ones that indulge in the honor of the ulama, they transgressed against the ulama and what they carry of ilm. Here, ya ikhwa, with the words of Imam bin Uthaymeen rahimahullah ta'ala, is a great benefit for me before you. As I have fallen into these mistakes. I have fallen into such mistakes. Sometimes, and I remember some of our mashayikh, and especially Sheikh Muhammad Isham, and he gave me a golden advice in regards to this. And he said, don't let your students influence you. Look at the advice, huh? Don't let your students influence you. And he talked to me about mashayikh that were influenced by their students. And for the benefit, we're going to share this, inshallah azza wa jal. A student can come to you, or someone that is trustworthy for you, he can come to you and he can start telling you about a certain matter or about a certain individual. And based on what you have heard from the person whom you trust, I trust him. For what I have heard, I know he does not lie. And so based on that, you could say something about a person. They say, what do you think about so-and-so? You say, la, so-and-so, he has this and that. And after a while, you would understand that it is a misjudgment by the student, or it is lack of knowledge by the student, or it's a personal thing, or that what he said is not true, or that he heard it from someone and it is not true. And subhanallah, you trust the person. Therefore, ya ikhwa, sometimes, and lately this has been happening, I would get people that would start talking to me about certain things in regards to certain people, and they would give a whole other perspective. Therefore, talking about individuals, ya ikhwa, we must take into consideration what Imam bin Uthaymeen rahimahullah ta'ala said. We need to reach them and speak to them and see what's going on. As they might share some information that we are not aware of. They might share with us some information that we're not aware of in regards to some individuals. And I caution, barakallahu fikum, and I caution not to, since we have social media nowadays, not to fall for the mistake that I've watched 5 minutes, and these 5 minutes they put the violations of a certain somebody, then I go and start, and there you go, this is the judgment against this person and he is a mubtadi'. La. What you know is, barakallahu fikum, what you know is that there is, for example, for you as a person, I watched a certain thing and there is a question mark now about the person, right? Because I watch certain things. Speak according to your knowledge. Speak according to your knowledge. Yeah, I say according to my knowledge, all I know is that there is a question mark and I don't know the condition of the person. Don't start jumping to this is a mubtadi and this is I don't know what and this is, and you start applying rulings to people. Leave this for the ulama, leave this for the people of ilm, leave this for the mashayikh. But if you know certain violations or something like that that are in public, this is something else, right? So you can show and speak to your knowledge, barakallahu fikum. Say, this is what I know and that's it. And I could be wrong as well. This is all what I know. You understand, barakallahu fikum? And let's not take out of the equation what the Sheikh bin Uthaymeen said, to reach the people and to hear from them. And I will give you an example so that you understand. And don't misunderstand what I'm saying, because some people would misunderstand what I'm saying. يعني, and this is a great benefit, inshallah azza wa jal, a great benefit. There was an incident. A person, his father and mother, they were divorced and they had problems. So he did something and we wanted to ask that has to do with both his father and mother. So I remember I remember that I reached out to some of the mashayikh and I asked them, you know what the mashayikh said? They said, we would never hear what a man says about his divorced wife or what a woman says about her ex-wife and ex-husband. We're not going to listen to them. Subhanallah, ya akh. Subhanallah, look at from the fairness of the mashayikh. This opened my eyes. They said, fine, the father, for example, I'll give you an example. The father would say what about the children? The mother is not good and she's gonna corrupt them and why Allah, this is gonna happen and that, right? And the mother would say what? The father is harsh, he's going to ruin them, he's gonna give them depression and psychological problems and his... Subhanallah. So, when you listen to the father, your judgment is, la, of course you cannot, because she's going to corrupt the children. And when you hear the mother, you're like, la, the father is extremely harsh or something like that. The mashayikh did not give in to this or that. They said, we're not going to listen to what they say. Of course he's going to say bad things about his ex-wife. She's his ex-wife. He divorced her. He did not divorce her because she's good, because in his eyes there are problems and there's this and that. And the same thing with her. She's not going to praise him. Therefore, we don't take what they say into account. So don't come and say, well, the father claims this and that. We have nothing to do with this. Now, the matter should be 1, 2, 3, and then they looked at the matter from another point of view. So I finished from this sheikh, I called another sheikh. I asked the other sheikh, he said the same thing. In my mind, I was like, in my head, I was like, subhanallah, did you agree to say this together? Subhanallah, this cannot be the case. I just called one of the mashayikh and then I called another one. And they replied, for subhanallah, they said the same thing as if they are quoting one another. I'm like, did you agree upon this? Subhanallah. This is the case. The meaning is, you have to listen. You have to listen to both sides and reach out. Otherwise, don't speak. And this is what I'm doing right now, inshallah azza wa jal. Since I'm getting also some trustworthy brothers that are coming and are saying, no, don't rush, don't be, but even the information that you were told and so on. So now the new approach is what? The new approach is, yes, absolutely. Since this is the case, therefore, ya ikhwa, the ulama, always when you start talking to them about these matters, they say, these are mutasha'iba. They say, these matters are tangled. Therefore, ya ikhwa, the correct approach is, don't rush, be patient, reach out to people, speak to people, and only speak according to your knowledge. And this is not your burden. If you had no knowledge, don't speak. Just say, I do not know. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. Rahimahullah ta'ala, our brother Zishan, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have mercy on him. He told me about, when he was asked at a certain country where he lived, he was, they kind of like boycotted him, rahimahullah ta'ala rahmatan wasi'a, just because they asked him about, they told him, what do you say about Sheikh so-and-so? And he said, I do not know him. So they told him, no, you must say he did this and that. Now, what about now? You have to say. He said, I do not know him. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. I do not. So they started boycotting him. Rahimahullah rahmatan wasi'ah. And he talked to me about it. And he was grieved. And I told him, I said, what you did is absolutely correct. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us in the Quran, وَلَا تَقْفُ مَا لَيْسَ لَكَ بِهِ عِلْمٍ إِنَّ السَّمْعَ وَالْبَصَرَ وَالْفُؤَادَ كُلُّ أُولَٰئِكَ كَانَ عَنْهُ مَسْئُولًا. You're responsible for this. So your answer is the correct answer. You have no knowledge of it, so you say, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. As for them, they might have something against this sheikh or that sheikh, so they might be, or they might be misinformed, for example. So say, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. I only speak according to my knowledge. Now, but the other people that treated him in this way, what they did is extremely wrong, and it indicates zero knowledge. That's what it indicates. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us fiqh in his deen. Na'am. And then we go back to what Imam bin Uthaymeen said. He says, وَالْوَاجِبُ, and what is mandatory, تَوْقِيرُ الْعَالِمِ. توقير العالم is to honor the scholar. لا سيما, especially العالم الذي عرف أنه يريد الحق. Especially the alim. Wallahi, this is so crucial. Wallahi, this is so crucial, ya ikhwan. Focus, huh? Everyone focus with me now. Especially the alim that is known that he is seeking the truth. ويجتهد في طلبه, and he is striving in seeking it. ولكنه قد يزل, however his foot might slip. وهذا أمر لا يسلم منه بشر, and this is a matter there isn't a human being that is immune to. كل بني آدم خطاء, all the sons of Adam make mistakes. وخير الخطائين التوابون, and the best of those that make mistakes are the ones that repent. أيوة. The Sheikh is talking about the true scholars and the ulama, ya akhwa, huh? Let's not mix the two now. Don't let anybody now come and he starts saying, you come and you warn against mashayikh and ulama. طيب, mashayikh and ulama, these are your mashayikh and ulama. The Sheikh is talking about the ulama of the sunnah. You bring me a alim, a Sufi alim, for example, or a Hizbi alim, or what, they're not ulama in the first place, but for them, they are ulama. And we say a Sufi sheikh or a Hizbi sheikh or whatever you want to call them, who is not upon a way. Mu'tazili, for example, Mu'tazili, and he's a sheikh, and for them he is a alim. طيب, we show the mistakes of the Mu'tazila, we discuss it scholarly, and they themselves as well, they come to the people in Sunnah and Jama'ah and they take stabs against them. So don't now come and say, Al-Imam bin Uthaymeen, you went against what Al-Imam bin Uthaymeen said. La, this has nothing to do with it. The Sheikh is talking about the ulama of the Sunnah and Jama'ah. You have ulama of the people of Sunnah and Jama'ah. They have slipped. You have ulama that were actively seeking the truth, ya ikhwa, and they have slipped into some of the mistakes or some of the bid'ah of the Asha'ira, for example. But we know that they were seeking the truth. There is no one that is immune from slipping into some mistakes. Understood? Barakallahu feekum. طيب. But this is different than a person that is calling for his bid'ah, and he's saying it is the haqq, and he is slandering the sunnah and fighting the people of sunnah and jama'ah and against the people of sunnah. This is different. Barakallahu feekum. Let's put some borders. طيب. And then Imam bin Uthaymeen, he said what? He says there's another issue here. Should the student of knowledge that knows the truth of those who slander the ulama to warn against them? The answer, الواجب على طلبة العلم, what is mandatory upon the students of knowledge, والزملاء, and the colleagues, يعلم بعضهم من بعض ما لا يعلمه البعيد, that they know from one another that which those who are not close to them don't know. If they know that this man has ليس له هم, he has no desire other than to indulge in the a'rad, in the honor of the ulama, what is mandatory is to be careful of him and to warn against him. So you be careful for yourself, and you warn others from them, because this is a da'un muhlik, يعني a lethal sickness. I mean that it leads to doom. يعني this is what it means. والشيطان, and the shaitan, إذا علم من الإنسان التلذذ بلحوم العلماء. And if the shaitan knows that a person يعني يتلذذ, يعني he enjoys the meat of the ulama, then the shaitan will increase him in this to the point that he's not comfortable or in any sitting except when he starts indulging in a alim from the ulama making jarh of him. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for safeguarding. And this is a matter that it is mandatory for us to be careful of, and to warn against is a form of nasiha. مع بذل عفوا مع بذل, not من بذل, والتحذير مع بذل النصيحة له, and to warn while we advise them. لأن الإنسان بشر قد يغتر, because a human being is, يعني a person is a human being, he might يغتر, يعني he might be deluded. وتحمله النفس الأمارة بالسوء على ما فعله من السوء والنصيحة ربما تفيد. And يعني his nafs that calls him to do that which is evil might call him to do that, and nasiha might be beneficial. So far so good? You see now how to balance these things? يعني don't be extreme and don't be mumayyi'. Look how the Sheikh, I gave you an introduction so that you get everything in the picture. The Sheikh is saying, yes, you can be careful of a person, yes, you can warn against them, but advise them, reach out to them. There might be things you don't know, and the Sheikh here warned us against those that warn against the ulama, and that we can warn against them because they are warning against the ulama that are known. Imagine, and there are people like this, by the way, ya ikhwa. I don't mean a certain group. A lot of people sometimes take what I say and they say, you mean so and so. This is not even just in the English da'wah scene. This is even here, even in the Arabic da'wah scene. There are people like this as well. There are groups like this as well. I will never forget, ya ikhwa. Yani somebody came to give me nasihah. Someone came advising me. I say, yani from back in the day, even before I started teaching, I used to translate for the ulama and translate videos. At the time where our Sheikh Falah Mundakar, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have mercy on him, was still alive. So he came to advise me against those I'm translating for. I said, who is the person that I'm translating for who's not good? He said Sheikh Falah Mundakar. La hawla wa la quwwata la. I said, Sheikh Falah. They were making tahazzub to a certain person and a certain group. And this certain person or group, يعني known mashayikh and known ulama that are good, and that the whole world يعني witnesses that they are good and so on. لا, they don't consider, they say you have to stay away from them and these are deviant and so on. You will reach the point you will see some people, they have a list like 50, 60 of the trustworthy mashayikh. They're saying, la, don't take from them, don't take. Or they might say there is only one person to take from in a country where it has ulama and has mashayikh, and so on. And I have spoken about this before. La, this is wrong. This is wrong. And this is Hizbiyya and from Hizbiyya and so on. So this is dangerous. When a person, you remember, ya ikhwa, we have people that start warning instantly. There is no, there is, to the point, Sheikh Falah, they warn against Sheikh Falah. Sheikh Muhammad Isham, they warn against Sheikh Muhammad Isham. Sheikh Al-Uthaymeen, they warn against Sheikh Al-Uthaymeen. Sheikh Al-Ruhaili, they warn against Sheikh Al-Ruhaili. Al-Sheikh Al-Sahimi, they warn against Sheikh Al-Sahimi. Al-Sheikh Wasil Al-Abbas, they warn against Sheikh Wasil Al-Abbas. Al-Sheikh, subhanallah, Sheikh Abdul Muhsin Al-Abbad, Sheikh Abdul Razak Al-Badr, Sheikh, la, these are trustworthy mashayikh, we know. And they warn, and they warn, and they warn. And sometimes you would be shocked. It reaches the point that some people, He even started indulging in regards to Imam Al-Albani rahimahullah ta'ala. الشيخ الألباني العلامة الإمام المحدث الشيخ الألباني، العلامة المحدث مقبل ابن هادي الوادعي، أو العلامة المحدث الشيخ ربيع أو الشيخ عبيد أو الشيخ سبحان الله. لا, this is a sickness. We know these are ulama, these are thiqat, these are trustworthy ulama, some of the biggest ulama of our time. But this is a dangerous thing. Don't think that when somebody is warning against trustworthy mashayikh, we can turn a blind eye to this and this is la. That's not the case. And of course, what do? We take what the Sheikh bin Uthaymeen said. We give them nasiha, we reach out to them, and we try to be fair, ya akhwa. This is the proper situation, this is the proper approach. And I told you, I fell into this mistake, and I seek refuge from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, wa astaghfirullah, tabaraka wa ta'ala. And I had people that approached me and said, what? And they said, do consider, there is a positive side. There is this, did you know about this? Did you know about that? I said, la, I did not know about this. They said, and there is this, and there is that, and subhanallah. But there are things that we do not know. Therefore, what we should do is we should have this balanced approach. And look, Sheikh bin Uthaymeen, it came at a time that we certainly need this. Barakallahu fi. All of us. I advise myself before you, we all need this. Not to be hasty. Not to be hasty. Okay, barakallahu fikum. And we take the words of Imam bin Uthaymeen rahimahullah ta'ala here, and we apply them. And we make this our way, inshaAllah azza wa jal. And then the Imam started talking about an issue. He said, وَهُنَا مَسْأَلَةً. There are some people that يتعمد البحث في أشرطة وكتيبات بعض العلماء عن الزلات. فهل الأمر سائغ؟ Normally, this is a question that was asked to him, and he answers. They told him there are people that deliberately look in the tapes and the booklets and the books of some of the ulama. Put it in the context, ulama. And they find their slips and so on. Is this something that is سائغ, is okay? Imam bin Uthaymeen said, تتبع عورات المسلمين محرمة. To follow the awrat of the Muslims, their slips and falls and mistakes, these are their awrat. ولا سيما العلماء, especially the ulama. Put the words I'm telling you in the context that it is here. And it has been reported in the hadith, يا معشر من آمن بلسانه, O you who have believed with their tongues, ولم يدخل الإيمان قلبه, and Iman did not enter into his heart. لا تغتابوا المسلمين, don't make غيبة of the Muslims. ولا تتبعوا عوراتهم, don't follow their mistakes and their awras and so on. To unveil their bad things and so on. This is تتبع العورات. فإنه من اتبع عوراتهم يتبع الله عورته. For the ones who follow this and seek this or show this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala shows his awra as well. وَمَن يَتَّبِعِ اللَّهُ عَوْرَتَهُ يَفْضَحْهُ فِي بَيْتِهِ. And the one that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala deals with him in this way, then he exposes him in his house. فَلَا يَجُوزُ تَتَبُّعُ الْعَوْرَاتِ. So it is not permissible to do this. وَتَتَبُّعُ الْعَوْرَاتِ عَوْرَةً. And to follow their awrat, to follow their mistakes and their slips and this, it is awra in itself. Awra, ya akhwa, do you know what awra is? Your private parts. And what's above it and what's below it. Meaning what from the awra, as we know, is from the navel, from your belly button, all the way to your knee. This is your awra. So this is what you hide. So when someone wants to expose your awra, then this is bad. Even though the question is about their books and their tapes. And this is in public. But this is how the Sheikh answered. So the one who goes and seeks their awrat for the people, he himself has fallen into awra as well. And what is mandatory? والواجب لمن صدر منه ما ينتقد أن يدافع الإنسان عن أخيه إذا سمع من ينتقده ويقول لعله اشتبه عليه الأمر، لعل له تأويلا، لا سيما من عرف بالصدق والإخلاص وحب نشر العلم. الله أكبر. So what is mandatory regarding the one that he said or happened from him that which he is criticized in regards to, yani he did something that is criticized, one should defend him, should defend his brother when he hears someone criticizing him and he says maybe it was not clear to him, maybe he has ta'wil, especially for the one who is known to be truthful, to be sincere, and to love, and he loves to spread Islamic knowledge, Al-Ilm, and the proper Islamic knowledge. Allahu Akbar. All of these things must be put in the criteria that the Sheikh, the Imam, has put. Because someone can take this and distort what the Sheikh said, but the Sheikh is clear, crystal clear regarding it. The Sheikh is telling us golden advice, especially now with social media and so on. We might be moved, so we say, "No, this is wrong," and he is a mubtadi', and so he says, "La, be patient. Let's not be hasty." Talib, what next? Reach out. Reach out to your brother. Advise them. It might rectify them. Instead of advise them. You might not know things and certain situations that what? That they were in, and they can explain it to you. Look for those who are sincere. And if a mistake happens from them, everyone, there's a mistake that will happen from him. If a mistake happens from him, defend him and advise him. Especially that we know this person, he loves ilm, and he loves the sunnah, and he's sincere, and he's truthful, and he spreads beneficial knowledge and so on. And I believe Al-Imam, when he was talking about that there isn't a person that doesn't fall into a mistake, I think what he means, and I think this is obvious, he means Al-Hafidh ibn Hajar al-Asqalani and An-Nawawi. When he said we have a alim that is seeking the truth, and we see that he's seeking the truth, and he's making his ijtihad, and he has, with putting his efforts and so on, and he is a alim, has fallen into some mistakes, then what? Then no one is safe from this. No one is safe from this. Absolutely. You have people nowadays that are taking a stab against Imam Nawawi rahimahullah ta'ala, and Al-Hafiz ibn Hajar and others as well. Yes, they have fallen into mistakes, but they are from the ulama that are in Hakam al-Hakim, the one who wants to give a ruling, and he's a mujtahid and he has fallen into a mistake, he gets a reward. They belong to this criteria because they are from the biggest of the ulama. So they made their ijtihad and they have fallen into mistakes. I remember I read something, ya ikhwa, and I shared this benefit with you before, and I want to remind you, as this is extremely beneficial. In the explanation of Usul al-Sunnah for Imam Ahmad, the explanation of Al-Allama Rabi' ibn Hadi al-Madkhali, Hafidhahullah ta'ala, may Allah preserve him, what did he say? He said from the reasons that people fall into these things is that when they have the environment around them is this. The environment around them, ya ikhwa, is what? I'm explaining what he said. For, let's say, Ash'aris, for example. He gets influenced, of course. And he looks in the books of these people and he replies to them, and there is a lot of khulta here. There's a lot of how do you say this in English? Touching happening here. There's a lot of mingling happening. The environment is like this, and he's looking in the books of these people, and he's replying to them and investigating them and so on. So what happens? Mistakes happen. But he's not upon their way. Is this understood? Barakallahu feekum? This is one of the reasons that such mistakes happen. And the Imam ibn Uthaymeen continues talking about these things and about those who indulge in the ulama that are from the people of Sunnah and Jama'ah. And they indulge in their honor and they slander them and this and that, and they should be advised and patience and so on. But you also warn against them. And then the Sheikh, especially when you know that there are this certain person, this is the only thing he does, and he's always indulged in this, and this is his, as if it is his hobby, and so on. And then the Sheikh went on to mention that we should not busy ourselves with finding the mistakes. Ya akhwa, this is golden advice. This is golden advice. When you have a alim, a person of ilm that comes and he shows the mistakes, he's a alim, he's a person of knowledge, he comes and he studies the matter and shows the mistakes, fine. In order for people to do what? To avoid these mistakes. Our Sheikh, Sulaiman al-Hayli, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala preserve him, when he went to Indonesia and he started talking about individuals, and he said we might be talking about people that would enter into Jannah, but we're not talking about their person. We don't want them as a person. We're just talking about the mistakes, and we want to avoid them. We want to know the mistakes and that this is not the correct way, and we want to avoid these mistakes. As for them, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they have their hisab with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Look at how the ulama, they approach these things. So you have an alim that might show the mistakes and might show, and so on and so forth. But for us, ya ikhwa, to go and to track and go through what people are saying in order to show their mistakes and so on, and neglect, in this way, ya ikhwa, as a student of knowledge, you have neglected ilm itself. And you're only indulging in this. And we have people like this nowadays. Huh? They're only indulging in these things, and they have no ilm. They didn't even start seeking ilm in the first place. And this is a huge mistake as a student of knowledge. You should know this and realize this. The asl, ya akhwa, that you should be totally focused on and all of your time is upon and effort and so on is what? Is seeking ilm. The asl itself, Islamic knowledge, the deen of Allah Azza wa Jal, your amal in the hereafter, Jannah and the hellfire. Not this person and that person. Not this person and that person. But if knowledge reaches you regarding a certain person and you see a mistake, you say, this is my knowledge. I know that there is a mistake, and so on. Understood? Barakallahu fikum. And sometimes a person comes to you. What do you say about so and so? You say, wallahi, I do not know. I have seen some things here and there. There is a question mark. According to my knowledge, I'm not sure about the person. I'm confused about him. There's a question mark. In regards to me, in my knowledge, I could be ignorant. He says, you don't recommend seeking ilm from him? Yes, of course I don't recommend seeking ilm, but it could be because of my ignorance. I do not know. How can I recommend someone I do not know? He says, what is your evidence for this? La, I want you now to go and look up his mistakes and what did he do, or whatever you're going to say is what? Is dhulm and is Subhanallah. How is this the case? Instantly you realize the person that is talking to you doesn't know what he's talking about. He's indulging in something that is not his to begin with. Not his to begin with. He shouldn't be speaking about this in the first place. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. I didn't come and speak about this person. You asked me. I was asked. I only spoke according to my knowledge. If I'm ignorant, teach me. If I did not know, then we put the criteria. So according to my knowledge, I could be ignorant. Or you say, this is what I know, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. Or you say, I do not know. And from the sicknesses that a student of knowledge, since we're talking about the subject nowadays, and we should talk about it, from the sickness nowadays is what happened to our brother, Zishan rahimahullah ta'ala. La, you must have an opinion. No, I mustn't have an opinion. I'm telling you, I don't know. La, you should have an opinion. No, only an ignorant person must speak about everything and must have an opinion regarding everything. This is instantly when you see someone who has an opinion about everything and speaks about everything, then you label him as ignorant. We're generally speaking. We say the person who's like this, this is an ignorant person. A knowledgeable person, he knows that there are things he does not know, therefore he shouldn't speak about. And therefore, this is the nasiha, ya ikhwa, that our Sheikh has given. That don't be influenced by your students as well, or your family, or la, but you must. I told you he indulged in this and that. Talib, you might be a liar, you might be mistaken, you might be misinformed, and sometimes you might trust a person, and then in the end he was mistaken, and therefore now we are mistaken because of that. So a knowledgeable person should do what? Should not be hasty. Only speak according to your knowledge. I do not know, it means I do not know. But this and that, it is not obligatory upon me now to accept what you have said. So investigate it yourself. No, I have better things to do. I have the deen of Allah Azza wa Jal and ilm itself. It's not mandatory upon me to investigate this person, whether he's a alim or sheikh or a student of knowledge or whatever. Ya akhi, there are ulama and the ulama are known. Go and seek ilm. If there is harm and benefit and a certain person, then go to the ulama and talk to them about this person and explain everything to them. And they are ulama. Speak to the ulama themselves. You see how this is now, ya ikhwan? See how easy this is now? And this is the safest thing to do. This is the safest thing to do. Other than that, you might be the transgressor. You might be the person who falls into a mistake. You might be the person who says something without ilm. You might have oppressed your brother by saying so and so. And therefore, ya akhwa, it is a good thing. It is a good thing to reach out to a person. I remember I heard some of the brothers talked about a certain individual. And I told them, reach out to him. So they did not know, and we don't know. I said, wallahi, I reached out to this person and he is amazing. He would take you with an open heart and open arms and says, teach me and give me my mistake. And yes, and tell me, what did I do wrong? And should I say it publicly and retract it publicly? If this is his case, speak to him. No. They want you to warn against him. And they want to make him a mubtadi'. And if you don't agree with them, you are a mubtadi' yourself. And la ya akhwa, it's not like this. It's not like this. Understood, barakallahu fikum? It's not like this. Also, you have to have patience. And you have to be wise about things. And try to reach out to your brothers. And try to reach out to certain brothers. And know what you're talking about. And not indulge in things aimlessly and blind. Okay, barakallahu fikum? And get to know that a person speaks according to his knowledge. Because he will be asked about what he's going to say on the day of judgment. Okay, barakallahu fikum. And today's lesson is extremely important. And the advices that Al-Allama bin Uthaymeen has given are so important. And I still say, do not take it out of context. Don't bring someone who is a mubtadi' and calling to his bid'ah and so on. Or a sectarian person or whatever it is, yani known, sometimes named by the ulama themselves. Not just one alim, because it's not binding to follow one alim, especially when there are other ulama that disagree with him. La a'udhu billah. And this bordens on the borders of bid'ah in itself. There's nobody that is a ma'soom, as Imam Malik rahimahullah ta'ala said. طيب. So, Imam Malik said, كل يؤخذ من قوله ويرد إلا صاحب هذا القبر. Everyone is you can take from what he says and you can reject. Reject what he says, except for the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So don't apply this to these. We're talking about, the Sheikh is talking about alim. We have an alim that has fallen into some mistakes, and he's known to be truthful and upon the sunnah. So this is the criteria, as the Sheikh said. And also there is something that is extremely important that I will repeat because you might not have paid attention to. The Sheikh is saying, even if someone has fallen into a mistake and has fallen into that which is wrong, advise him. Sometimes the advice might affect the person. Advise him. Give advice. Don't fight him. Don't fight him and start causing problems with him. Advise him. And advice, ya ikhwa, should be sincere and should be to rectify the person and not to, I'm advising you. So now afterwards, I'm going to do what? I'm going to label you and cuss you in public. This is not what is meant by advice. Advice is, I am advising you so that I gain the reward, insha'Allah Azza wa Jal, that you see the truth and you start acting upon the truth. So now your evil has gone away. You start rectifying and the harm is being now what? Prevented and pushed away. And now you are rectifying the mistakes and mending the harm and so on, so that there is benefit now. And I take the ajr, insha'Allah. Tabaraka wa ta'ala. So I advise you, in order to rectify that which is wrong, for the sake of the person himself and for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jalla, to get rewarded and so on. And if the person, he has people that listen to him and so on, now it is muta'addi. The benefit is muta'addi now. So this should be the intention. The intention is not, I'm going to tell you this is right and you are wrong. So now I'm going to label you and criticize you and cuss you and do this and do that. And this is not the point, ya ikhwan. This is the point that there is a sickness in your heart. You warn because there is a benefit. Even when you want to warn, there is a benefit, so that people don't think that this is the truth. Not because you have a desire, a shahwa, a lust in your heart, and you just want to, and you think this is the deen of Allah Azza wa Jal. No, and there are youngsters that are falling into this. La. What is meant? What is meant is the deen of Allah Azza wa Jal, and for the sake of Allah. Therefore, Al-Allama Rabi' ibn Hadi al-Madkhali, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala preserve him, he said that he was, our Sheikh Falah tells us about, told us about this in videos and YouTube and so on. He said that the Sheikh Rabi', for 10 years he was patient regarding a certain person, and then he started warning publicly. Nowadays it doesn't even take 10 minutes. He's kept on advising him for years, so he might what? Take it back and rectify himself. So we should understand these things, barakallahu fikum. We should understand. I'm not telling you to wait 10 years, but we're saying yani, we should take these things into consideration and see the way of the ulama and see what they say and see the criteria that they have and realize our place as well as little students of knowledge or someone that just started seeking knowledge. Your goal is to seek knowledge, not to indulge in these things. Therefore, Sheikh Al-Allama Falah, Mundakar, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala preserve him, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have mercy on him. He said what? He said, these matters, the last thing that a student of knowledge indulges in. Meaning what? You should be a student of knowledge first. You should concentrate on ilm and become a student of knowledge, and then this is the last thing you indulge in. Subhanallah. The last thing you indulge in, because it needs a lot of knowledge. It needs, as you see, it is convoluted, it has many, and it's like a web, it's entangled and so on. So it has to have patience and it has to have actual knowledge of the matter, of the situation, of the person himself, reaching out to the person, knowing his condition, and so on and so forth. So these are the things that, not me speaking about, I am actually tackling everything that the Sheikh was talking about here. These are the things that the Sheikh Al-Allama bin Uthaymeen spoke about here. He mentioned all of these things, by the way. So we are doing what? We are taking them one by one. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala a'la wa a'lam. Do we have time or did we pass the time today as well? لا. نعم, we passed the time today as well. طيب. إن شاء الله عز وجل we will stop here إن شاء الله عز وجل, and the translation lesson we will hold it tomorrow. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت